Hey guys, thanks for coming back for another video. Today we're going to go over some good stuff. If you feel you get any value, please like, subscribe, leave comments down below. If you're viewing this on Instagram, please follow me if you're not already. And as well, leave some questions down below just regarding what you see here and if you have any questions about this process. So on my screen here, you can kind of see and get an idea of what we're going to go over. This is a little, software, or not software, but a little sheet that I made. It's pretty simple. I'm not an expert, as you can tell here. I mean, you probably thought of the same thing and could do this exact thing. And you can do this thing because trust me, I'm nowhere to the extent of making like a special software or work in Excel to a max. But I just decided to make this little sheet. I thought it was useful for our lead managers. I thought I would share it with you guys. That way you can see how we've been using it to predict some numbers and seeing where we're messing up in terms of the lead management and acquisition management side, and how we can tweak just a couple numbers here to increase our goal and our revenue, our contract goal, to twice the amount by just tweaking two numbers. Now, it's a lot easier said than done, but let's dig into it right here. So again, to give you a little point, to give you a little bit of a background, this is the lead manager appointment generator. Now, there will be a copy of this available, and we'll tell you how to reach it. If it's on Instagram, if you're viewing this, it's going to be a link in my bio where you can download a copy like this. Or if you're on YouTube, we'll leave a link down below to where you can access and get this document so you can use it yourself. So again, it's meant for your lead managers, but also shows some acquisition manager stuff here that you can tweak. So let's just get a breakdown of it, right? So this first three columns of the sheet is just your ideal outcome, right? This is my expectations to my lead managers right now. These are just my expectations, right? So it's my great, I would love for them to be at this point, my good, where I want them all to be at minimum, and what I think is bad, right? So let's break it down. If they do 100 calls, I did a 100 call baseline right here for these first three columns, just because it's simple math, right? It's a lot easier to see out of 100. So I said it would be great for them to do 100 calls and have 25 conversations, have 25 people pick up. So it would be great. That's a great scenario. If only 20 pick up, it's still good. But if 17 or less pick up, you can't really have half a pickup, but just percentage wise, 17 or less pick up, something's going wrong. Now let's break it down here. So we do the math. You have 25%, you get 25 conversations, 20 conversations, 17. You guys get it, right? This math flows in. This times this, 4 times 3, row 4 times 3 will equal row 5 conversations, right? So now let's break it down to here. How many conversations to appointment set? And this was a baseline we've had from our lead managers the last 30 days. So I just used it. This might be bad. This might be good. Leave it down below what you think. Obviously, we're working on a little bit more of a scale than some people. So our numbers aren't always going to be better in terms of like how many people, efficiently. If I was doing it, if there's, me doing it every day, these numbers might be different. And so conversation to appointment set, we just saw that was a baseline we were having the last 30 days. So out of our 25 conversations, we would set 2.5 appointments, right? 10%. Now, same thing. If we expected it to be great and good, we probably should put this to like 2% or to 12% and this to 10, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is just how we have it here as ours. If you want to put this at 12 to make it great, then you can do that. I just felt this was reasonable for our lead managers. And again, the whole point of this system here is so that we can now start predicting off our lead managers' numbers of how we can get to our desired contract, right? How can we get to there? And we'll go a little bit more deeper into it. But so we did that. So we would, in this instance, again, we would have 2.5 appointments set. We would have 2 here. We would only have 1.3. Now, go down to appointment to contract. Ideally, in a perfect world, we want to be closing 1 in 5 deals at least, right? Great. We'd be doing 1 in 5. Good, we'd do 1 in 15, or not 1 in 15, but probably 1 in 6 or something, whatever, 15%, whatever that number is. And bad, well, this should be worse than here, but I don't know why it's worse there. So let's change this to I think because I was messing earlier today with it. So let's just change this to 0.17. Let's just say that's bad. I was messing with numbers today. So let's say bad is 13%, right? So now when we go down below here, let's start looking here. Let's ignore the blue right now. Let's ignore all this blue. Let's go down to here. And so what I built down here on these columns, and let's zoom in a little bit so it's better for you guys to see. Oh, maybe too much. So what I built down here, and let me hide myself real quick. So I got a big head on Loom right now. How do I change myself to go lower? I don't know. I'm gonna move myself over here though. But what I've done here is I've predicted. I said, look, if we have 100 calls, which we do here, these linked together, these columns. It's pretty much these numbers right here are spelled out over here, right? And they give us, right, again, let's follow it for great. Let's stay on the great column. We get 100 calls, 25 conversations, 2.5 appointments set. That links to here. And our contracts should be, we should have half a contract. You know you can't have that, but just for prediction-wise, we would have half a contract. Well, let's scroll over here. If we know that we would have half a contract at 100 calls, we would then know our call to appointment would be this. So guys, now if we go down here, these three columns are really represented right here again. Let's not focus on the blue. So these three columns are right here, okay? And so for these three columns, these are kind of line up, right? So 100 calls here, 100 calls here, 25, conversations, 25. The black is all put down here, right? 2.5 contracts, a half. It breaks it down. Okay, well, if we know 100 calls will get us 2.5 appointments, that number would be 40 calls per appointment. Well, if we know based on our numbers here that 200 calls, that our 200 calls would equal a contract because we know we only get half a contract with 100 calls, well, then we would be at 200, right? So all this is put in here. And now what's even more important, I have a generator here. If I want 25 contracts, well, we know here that I need to make 200 calls per contract. So this number right here is just 25 times my 200 contracts, right? So that's where it gives you that $5,000 or $5,000 call goal. And then we divided by this number here because we have this is if we have one lead manager. If you have one lead manager, we divided by 26 because that's how many working days we averaged in that our lead managers. They work 6 days a week. And, some months there might be 26, 25, 20, whatever. But we averaged in 26 days they're working. And so if we had one lead manager in order to hit our goal, and if they were converting on all of these numbers, these conversions at these percentages in the red, if our lead manager was doing that, which is the best we can do, or our goal that we want to do for our team, they would need to still do 192 calls a day. Right now, my team is maxing out around 90 calls a day effectively. So I know that's not feasible if I wanted, one lead manager is not going to be able to do it. We all know that, right? So then I actually skipped 2 lead managers because I know we have 3. So if we do 3 lead managers, which is just this number divided by 3, right? Basic math, we'd only need 64 calls. Well, I know now we can get 90 calls. So if I can do 60, if I only need to do 64 calls, I know this is feasible. I know we can do this. We have the people. We call 90 a day. If we can just, tweak some of these numbers here, get these exact conversions, we can do that. And again, you can do that same synopsis, that same prediction from good, bad, right? So even if our guys are just bad, or even if our guys are good, they still only need to make 106 calls. Not only, but they're making 90 now. They only need, we need 16 more calls a day from each of them, and we could be hitting this goals. That's if we're on the good conversion level. Now look what it is if we're on the bad conversion level. We got to almost do 3 times the amount of calls as if we were on great to bad. And that means, we need a lot more people to do that. And that means even at 3 lead managers, it's impossible. Even at 4 lead managers, it's impossible. And I haven't gone out to 5, but I guarantee you even 5 is impossible. So that would mean that we need 6 or 7 lead managers to do that. That increased our cost. And we don't even know if at that level we'd be still hitting these conversions, So this is a big thing to see. Again, to summarize, these columns are just predictions of what you want yours to be like, what you think is bad, good, and great for your company. Now, let's go into the good part here, the part I like the most. Let's start testing your own numbers in your business if you track these, and hopefully you do. So, for example, the last 30 days, I pulled a number on 11/29 of how many calls one of our lead managers had, how many conversations he's had, and how many appointments he's had, and how many contracts he's had, right, with those appointments. Well, we did the math here, and if you plug it in here, don't touch any of these numbers in red. They're formulas. So, for example, I just came in here. I put his numbers, 1,500. I put 218, and obviously I'm just repeating what I've already had in here, but just to show you. And they formulate these numbers for me. These red numbers will automatically formulate for you. That's how I built it. No, I'm not that fancy. It's again, you guys are probably laughing at me like, no, I knew that in third grade. But anyway, so once you have that, you can now start seeing what your numbers are at. So if we go over here, and I keep moving my screen, hopefully it's not showing, my face is moving all over the place. But if we come over here, actually I'll keep it down here. If we go over here, we can say, look, let's start here. He's bad right here. Something's going on. He's not able to have as many conversations. He's 15% when bad is 17. Well, he's doing good on conversations to appointment set, right? He's doing good there, so that doesn't need changed. Well, our closing rate's terrible, and guess who this falls on now? This falls on acquisition management. So I'm going to ignore that for our lead manager. So it brings me back to this number, right? It brings me back to this number here, and hold on, I'm going to mute something. It brings me back to this number right here. And I know now when I'm looking at him, I'm saying, this lead manager, I'm talking to him, I'm like, what's going on? Well, I'm just not getting answers. Obviously, he's not. He's only getting 14% when our goal should be 25. So what we can now start, and what we've done is we're now noticed that 3 of his numbers were spam. Even though we have a software that tells us that, it wasn't honest. Out of his 5 numbers, 3 of them were spam. So what are we doing now? Getting them new numbers. We're actually giving them 6 numbers, 6 new numbers, because we want them to use one every single day differently. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Have a number for each day. So that way they're fresh as can be. Number 2, we realized that he was hitting a lot of working leads, and working leads for us are leads that we have not got a hold of. They've gone into our system. Maybe they're a text lead that came in, but we've never talked to them as a lead manager. So what do we do there? Well, what we have the guys do then is target those leads and hit them hard every day. Well, if a lead hasn't answered after 14 days of you constantly calling, and we usually call them 2 or 3 times a day, those working leads that we haven't got a hold of, if he hasn't answered in 14 days, the drop off we've seen is that they're not going to answer more than likely. And if they are, it's very slim. So we got to hit them in the first 14 days. If we don't get them there, we shouldn't waste our time keep hitting those people. We should instead put those people on automatic drip text to save our callers time. And he was hitting a lot of people that were 14 days plus. That probably affects it as well. So those 2 things we can trigger. And now what we do is we can look at it and say, hey, Jordan, if we can fix that, if we can get this to even our good level, and this is when you got to just start putting random numbers in to get to 20%, right? Because we want to see if you can get here. Let's look at your numbers. Because right now, if we go down below and we look at you, if we had 3 of you, we would still need 240 calls a day to hit our 25 contract a month goal. Now, I'll be honest, our contract a month goal is just 15 right now. So let's change those numbers. So Jordan, they changed significantly, obviously. Jordan, we still need 144,000. We got 3 lead managers right now. We're not going to be able to do that at those current numbers at 144. And instead of looking at hiring more people, at 4 lead managers, it's only 108 calls. At 3 lead managers, I'm sure it's at 80 something calls. At 5 lead managers, at 80 something calls, right? If you kept it going. But why do we need to hire more people? Why do we have to spend more money? Some people, when they would see this, say, well, we need to spend more money on marketing. But when they look deeper in the numbers, they see their conversations, the calls to conversations down. Jordan, instead of hiring more people, what if we are able to help you get to 20%? So again, let's do the math. What would 20% be? It's 300, right? So it's 300, right? So 300%. And let's say, again, because we've edited this looks like he's only got 22 appointments of those conversations. Let's make sure this gets back to 10 to where he's at, which is what, what's 10% of 30, right? So 30, and they're at a 9% close rate. Let's say the acquisition manager doesn't get any better, right? Let's just say acquisition manager stays doing poorly, right? They're at 9%. We wanted to be at 20% right here. But let's say they stay at 9%. What would be 9% of that? Would it be 3 contracts? That's close enough, 10%. Let's say they're closing 10%. Well, remember, all we've changed, because Jordan was already at 9%. He was already at 9 point something percent on appointment of contract. And that's not Jordan. The acquisition managers were closing that many leads on his deals. But he was already at 10% on conversation to appointment. So all we changed was from going from his 14% to what he was at to now going to 20%. We can see that now it's feasible. Jordan, just by doing that, if we had 3 lead managers doing your stuff, right? I told you guys earlier in this call, 90 calls is average for our guys. So Jordan, just by tweaking that, let's go back to see what it was before. 96 is what it is now. Before we changed everything, it was 144. So 50 call difference by just tweaking one number there. And yes, it's a big percentage. You're going up, 20% more, like we talked about, even though 5% more is, 14 plus 5. But that's 20% increase, I believe. But even at a 20% increase, it's feasible. We can do that by the stuff I've talked about that we could implement. So I think this is very important. Let me know if you guys, I know I'm talking a lot. I know it's kind of confusing. Leave comments down below and I can answer better in the question format. But again, just by editing Jordan's thing here, to good, is one of our lead managers, we can be closing now 15 contracts, no problem. Now, let's say we get better acquisitions, which we should be minimum, I would say minimum 15% like it is here. So what is that in the math? And sorry, I'm going quick here. What is that? It's like probably what, 4.5. So let's say we can't close 4.5. Let's say we can close 5 contracts. We're at 16%. We're a little bit above good, but still under great. Well, that takes the number down to 57. That splits it in half, right? Because we just got better, obviously, by a lot more in closing. 57 calls. So now what do I do as a manager of a company? I look now and say, my focus for lead managers this quarter, this next month, is figuring out how we can change, how we can go from what we were doing, which is 14% calls to conversation. How can we get to 20%, at the minimum? And how can I get my appointment to contract to 16 or 15% at a minimum? Now, if my sole focus is only on 2 numbers, not spending more on marketing, not hiring more people, but just changing those 2 numbers every single day, focused on that, looking at KPIs, I can find a way for my company to be able to do on 50 calls like we showed over here. On 50 calls, my company would be able to do, keep it at that 16%, 57 calls a day. They will be able to get me 15 contracts. Now guess what I can look at? If I go to 20 contracts as my desired goal, they still can do it. Remember, I said they can do 90 calls a day. So let's see what the max they can do now. They went from the max them doing like 12 to 15 to now let's see if they can do 30 contracts. It's just math now. It's a math game. No, they can't do 30 because it's 115. Again, I'm looking at the blue area over here. 27 still a max, but let's look at 25. Let's just say 25. Right, 25, they can do 96 calls. They can get 25 contracts now by changing 2 numbers, literally 2 numbers, calls to conversations, to get that from being at 14% into our close rate from going to 9% to 16%. 2 numbers, if we focus on that, and what I have is I'm lucky I have a lead manager department head and I have an acquisition manager department head. So for me, I'm the sales department head, and I can go to those managers, the lead manager, and the acquisition manager, right? He manages acquisition managers. The other guy manages lead man. And I say, this is your, Jordan, this is your number. This is all you're focused on. Department head of acquisitions, this is your number. You need to get to 16% close rate this month. Jordan, you need to get to, or the lead manager, department head, you need to get to 20% calls. I don't care how you do it. That's all you're focused on. If we can get those guys just solely focused on those one number each, we have now the capacity to do 25 contracts if we hit that. And again, this is just on good. What if we went to great, right? Let's just go crazy right now, guys, and say we can get to great. And obviously, it's going to have to do more marketing to get better leads and stuff like that. It's not going to 100% accurate. Not going to be 100% accurate, but it's going to be pretty close. Let's say we can get this number to 25%. What would that be, 500? Oh, no, that's too much. Sorry for my math. Let's do 375. Let's just do basic math here. So 375, and let's keep it at 10%. That would be 37.5. And let's get this at 25 or 20%. So I'm just going to have to guess here. 7.5 maybe. Oh, that's not the right number. Sorry, I should have already done 7.5. So now let's see what we can do. If we go to the great. Now I know it's a stretch, but why can't we try to get there? They only need 64 calls to get there, right? And again, I know marketing is going to have to change up. We're going to have new list and all this stuff. It's not going to 100% go. But we have capacity now. Now I don't have to go hire 3 lead managers. I don't have to go, worry about, finding them and spending money on marketing and all that. I know it's possible if we can just work on our conversion. So again, I hope this was a long one. I hope this helped you guys out. Hopefully this could post to Instagram. But you guys got questions down below on YouTube, leave them there. Please like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.